We're fortunate tonight to have a guest speaker, and you know, I heard a line recently, and it was spoken about the Vimy Ridge proceedings, about our past and how we have to remember it and embrace it and learn from it, and how in many ways that it's the future that gives meaning to our past, and it's carrying on great traditions that have been created for us. And we're very fortunate tonight, as I say, for our guest speaker is a gentleman who is from Montreal. He played a year for the majors in 1947, a Memorial Cup championship team. Maple Leafs had a keen interest, and he played for the Marlies senior team, and graduated St. Mike's, and a goalie on top of all that, so we love him even more.
Without a mask,
Without a mask.
you gotta have a loose head.
Well, somebody once told me back in the day that they didn't wear a mask, and they tried one, and they stopped wearing it because they found that the mask gave up too big a rebound. So maybe you're on.
You're getting hit in the head, you better change jobs.
Please welcome our guest speaker for tonight, Howard Harvey.
Ladies and gentlemen, do me a favor, if you do not hear anything I say, stand up, wave, yell, do anything you want, but I want you to hear what I have to say, otherwise I shouldn't have come. My name's Howard Harvey, has been introduced, and I would like to address the chairman. I would like to welcome the adults, parents, the hockey players, the guests, and if there's any staff here. I have a little trouble with my legs, but as I tell my doctor, I don't have any trouble with my head. And I will exchange anytime trouble with my legs for no trouble with my head. You don't have to be a mathematician graduating from St. Mike's or anywhere else to figure if I played in 46, 47, how old I am. And life has its ups and downs, and I'm very happy to have had more ups than downs. One of my greatest ups was at St. Michael's. It only lasted a year because I was put here by the Leafs, and with the idea to get some brains into me, I suspect, and I imagined the Leafs paid for my education here. All I know is I earned a pricely and princely sum of $10 a week for playing for the junior A team. In those days, $10 went further than probably 50. I'll give you one or two examples as we go along. Throughout all this whole thing, a kitchen timer has been a factor. I used to have a clergyman who said that the head can stand only as much as the behind can take. When you think about it, it's kind of true. And I believe it. So what we're going to do is, I have 5 main topics. They might be considered to be little highlight sketches on my year at St. Mike's, and they're in chronological order. This was a difficult thing for me because the number 5 chronological ordered item is the most hilarious, not intended to be, but turned out to be that way. And as with the first item that I have on the list, a very nice man, principal called Father Regan, was in both of them. And consequently, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through the 5 items in 20 minutes. The timer is the problem. Now, so I asked the ladies, who incidentally did a wonderful job to help answer the questions that I needed to be answered, because I'm not exactly Winston Churchill when it comes to speaking, and I'm not exactly somebody who could encourage a nation to fight against an evil. I'm just me, who played with St. Mike's and 2 other teams, the Marbles, before I got a little fed up with what I saw in hockey, and I subsequently refereed from 52 to 60 in all leagues in hockey in Quebec, with the exception of the NHL, and there were only 3, and sometimes 4 referees in the NHL. So, to be a referee in the NHL, even if you're very good, it was like about as hard as robbing a bank. You just didn't get there. I didn't say I was that good, but even if I was, I don't know that I would have got there. So, I'm going to give you these 4 vignette pictures, which gave me an outlook on St. Mike's. Some to do with hockey, some to do with me personally, but some of them just interesting things that you may be interested in. The first one I had 40, we were thinking of having a kind of a raffle thing, and I had 40 questions to do with St. Mike's, Toronto Maple Leafs, Moose Jaw Canucks, who we met in the Western Final. Bev Bentley was the goaltender, who was the cousin to Max and Doug Bentley, the all-stars of the Leafs. He was at the other end. His jersey is there. Before I go any further, I want to introduce my son-in-law, Jim. Jim, stand up. Jim Lewis lives in Trenton, is in the restaurant business. He's in charge of the memorabilia table. You can ask him anything you want there, but you cannot touch my newspaper scrapbook nor my photographic book. The newspaper scrapbook contains my high school days sports, St. Michael's, and 2 years of Marlborough seniors. And like anybody who's, as the scrapbook is, 70 years old, is kind of ready to fall apart. So you cannot touch, but Jim can touch. I have a photographic book there. The same thing applies, but if it's higher quality paper and things, it's not ready to give up the ghost. But just for the saving of the pictures, I'd rather Jim shows you something if you have a question that applies to it. My son Gary Harvey. Gary lives in Point Claire, near Montreal. He is a retired high school math teacher and does do tutoring. So if any of you people are in trouble and want to come to Montreal, I guarantee he'll get you through your course. He is now also retired and has been a soccer coach. You know, that's the game that you play in 90 minutes and they advertise on television. It's the 30/90 edition. So that means you get 30 minutes of action in 90 minutes that you paid for. That's a television show now, 30 on 90. Of course, soccer fans they don't agree with me, but I tell my children when I go and watch it, I sit there waiting for something to happen. And that's unfortunately the truth. Gotta be honest. This is a good Catholic school. So, with that said, I've cheated a bit because I'm now only starting the 20 minutes. If you're still in this mood, I promise myself I will not start a 5th item after 20 minutes. But we're a democratic society, and I'm prepared to put it to a vote if you like the first 4, because I tell you, the 5th one is the most hilarious thing that happened to us. It's sort of a bait. And about 10 of the club, the cup-winning club, were involved in this, and also Father Regan. And if that happens, I guarantee you it won't go another 5 minutes. But I'm a man of my word, and I will cut it off if you don't want it. If it is cut off, I've arranged with the ladies. Tomorrow I'm going to be here and being recorded with any and all questions for that may come about. And they agreed that I could tell tomorrow my 5th one, and it would be on the tape, so it wouldn't be lost when I'm lost. When I'm gone, it will still be available. So we'll see how that works out. So, oh, I forgot to push it. That wasn't on purpose. Okay, now I've pushed it, and we're now at 1953. The first item. We were living on the Irish flat in the old school building. We had about 8 hockey players on the flat, and I don't know how many rats. They lived in 1-foot thick stone walls, and when it was quiet at night, you knew you had company because they scratched around. That's what rats do. I never have seen the new building, neither the rink. I only know where it is. And the reason I came here primarily is not to address you, but to pass on information, because 2 or 3 years ago, in the Blue Banner, it was said to me through the Blue Banner, come on, just because you got a leg, you don't walk. Anyway, a goaltender has to have a humor, or he'd never be a goaltender. So, when I saw the Blue Banner, that it said the era of the 40s, although they won Cup, been in one or two in Eastern finals. We almost put them out in Montreal Royals 2 years before. Everybody went into shock at St. Mike's. And that's when I was put on the Maple Leaf reserve list through Squid Walker, and that's how I ended up at St. Mike's 2 years later. Pat Beamer was a goalie then with St. Mike's. So, I came here to pass on the information contained in those books and contained in this thing here, because I haven't lost any of my marbles. And I want to pass that on before I pass on, because the school needs it. And they admitted they need it, and that's what I'm trying to do. I didn't come here for a banquet. I didn't come here to somebody say, oh, he's a nice guy and all that. Well, I came here to pass on information that will be into posterity, part of the archives of the school, be it for graduates or sports. The first thing was the Irish flag. It's known as disobedience, but not quite. One of the football players came to me and said, would you like to come to Hamilton for our senior team to watch the game? Well, I was 18. I was playing against former pro hockey players who were over 30, Fernand Majo, a star with Canadians in the war years, guys like this, when I was 15 in the Montreal Forum National Defence League. I had to come here in the Irish flat, and I was in a cage. Well, I don't drink, I don't swear, I don't smoke, I've never been in trouble, but St. Mike saw it fit that I couldn't go outside at night. Prayers at 7 and turn out your light at 9. It's pretty hard for an 18-year-old guy who's never been restricted and had no reason to be restricted, but everybody on the Irish flag was restricted. The other building, I forget the name, it was a 3 or 4 stage building. They were players who played with St. Mike's the year before. I don't know if this was a new policy, but there was no restrictions on this other building. Father Les Costello, you know, he was a troublemaker in his own right. Even though he ended up as a pretty good priest and a flying father, he was still, on the ice, a troublemaker. I could tell you a few stories about him when I played with Royals. At any rate, they were not restricted. I didn't see the justice in this. So I said to the fellow who invited me, and I think it was McClellan, the big center, I'll go. I knew I'm not supposed to be out because I'm supposed to be there for bed call. Went to Hamilton. I don't remember if they won or lost. When I come back home about 11 or 12 o'clock, Father McCreevy, our flat master, greets me, as he always did anybody who got 1 inch out of line. Where are you been? I said, I've been to Hamilton. You'll see Father Regan in the morning. That was his favorite line. You'll see Father Regan in the morning. Yes, sir, I will. I go down. I met a very kindly Father Regan. You went out? Yes, sir. Why did you go out when you're not supposed to? Well, here's the way I looked at it, Father. If I said no, that I couldn't go, I can't see the fairness in it when the guys over in that house over there, they could go anywhere they wanted at any time. That's not fair. So I went prepared to take the consequences that you as judge and jury would see the point that I did nothing wrong, had no intention of doing anything, was supporting the football team, and I was being prejudiced against because of all those other guys who could come and go when they wanted. Father Regan says, Harvey, you got a point, case dismissed. And that was, oh, don't do it again. Well, you know, the football season was half over. I was going to be doing it again anyway. That's the first one. Number 2 item. This is going home at Christmas. I came to St. Mike's at 185 pounds. I'm now 165. Going home at Christmas to my mother, I'm 77. I still remember my mother. "Oh, Howard, what did they do to you? They're starving you." Well, 185 to 177, not exactly starved, and we were working out, etc. But it was true. We weren't getting fed that well. And it was a Father Brown, who was chemistry teacher, who also greeted our hockey players in the first class by saying, "I don't like hockey players. You had better toe the line, or you will," I don't know if he had the authority, "you won't be a hockey player in this school with St. Mike's Junior A." He was trying to scare it. I didn't have him. I didn't take chemistry. So, to a degree, we were not being fed well. As a hockey team, we were fed what everybody else was, but he was a bursar.